Hey guys, it's me Seren back with another video. This is going to be a review, a very late review for the fourth episode of Watchmen on HBO. As always, there will be spoilers. I would say that this is going to be in the good, the bad, and the ugly format, but I did not have any bad or ugly about that last episode, so it's just going to be all good. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Lady Trieu, a character named Lady Trieu, was introduced. This is not a canon character from Watchmen that I know of. If you guys know, please feel free to let me know in the comments, but it seems to me like this is a new character, much like Sister Night. Sort of an exploration of the Watchmen universe through the eyes of these new characters, which I really, really like this concept, and I'm enjoying it with this new character of Lady Trieu. We meet her via this couple that is like living out on a farm, even though they are shitty farmers. We see this bitch drop like a whole entire carton of eggs. I hope those weren't real eggs. I hope those were like reproductions that they made for the show. Otherwise, that was just wasting food. But that's neither here nor there. We find out about this character that she's building a clock down the road, some type of giant structure. She's very into time. She makes this couple an offer that she will trade them a baby that she has already created using their genetic material that she got from a clinic that she owns, I believe, that she's going to trade them a baby, which they want more than anything for their house, as well as the 40 acres of land that their house sits on. And then we see something land in their field that she claims. It's all very Clark Kent adjacent. It's all very Superman adjacent. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I always do love seeing kind of little nods to other types of like superheroes within the canon. I just think it's kind of fun and interesting, and a little wink wink nudge nudge that I did like. Lady Trieu is very into time. I felt like she was very much giving me White Rose from Mr. Robot, who was also really super into time. I just really liked her introduction. Apparently she's a trillionaire that made money in Big Pharma, and then again we see her offered this couple, this childless couple, a baby in exchange for their land just before something lands in it that she then claims, whatever just landed in the land. And the fact that she had them on a timer to agree, like, oh, you have 3 minutes to agree or disagree. It seems like she obviously has some type of understanding of the passage of time. Perhaps she can see into the future. She knew that that thing was going to land. We know that she's building some type of quote-unquote time machine. I'm just like using that phrase loosely, down the road from where she's just bought this house and this land. I'm very interested to see how this plays out, and we end up finding out by the end of the episode that whatever she's building and whatever she's doing is going to culminate within 3 days. So it seems that thus far, the loose timeline of the show has been going day by day after the chief dies, so I'm assuming we're going to go through the next 3 days over the next 3 episodes and then sort of see, I guess, what happens. After the Lady Trieu introduction, we catch up with Sister Night, who's taken apart her grandfather's wheelchair so it can't be linked to her. There's a whole sequence where she goes back to the Greenwood Center to trace more family members through her grandfather that she's recently discovered. We know that she was raised in Vietnam, and we found out that her parents have died, so this is some of the first time that she's like meeting her biological family members, which is really, really interesting to kind of see that play out. She got a call from the Greenwood Center that a new family member was found, and the way that this ended up playing out really did remind me and continues to remind me of sort of a futuristic version of the DNA testing advertising, you know, and some of these buzzwords that they use, and just this whole alternate reality, alternate version of tracing your lineage and tracing your genealogy that they have really imagined for this show. You know, when you encode your acorn, go to the greenhouse, plant your acorn, a literal digital family tree grows with these digitized branches that you can then touch and like see your family tree, you know, like a holographic rendering of fucking family members, you know, like her grandfather and great grandparents who we saw in the opening when we saw the Tulsa massacre. It's also, again, this sort of playing around with words and colloquialisms. The tree is called an ancest tree, like an actual tree. Just an amazingly well executed scene, in my opinion. such very just clever writing, a smart way of unfolding the conception of these ideas. It's very hard sci-fi, which I like a lot. They're really pushing this idea of an alternate reality and like, what our world, could possibly look like if we ever sort of got to this place of maybe reckoning with things that have happened in our past here in the United States, and the government setting up and putting aside some type of resources in the form of reparations as well as in the form of genealogy and lineage centers for us to trace. It's almost exciting to see it, in front of you. I feel like this is really part of the point of science fiction and speculative fiction and fantasy, is literally to speculate, to wonder, what could we possibly do, and what could we possibly even see in our own real world. And I really like the way that they are exploring that with this show. And then as she's in there doing the family tree thing or whatever, her car falls out of the sky and fucking returns, and she runs outside because she hears it. And then the timeline of the third episode, right, runs into the episode that we were currently watching, episode 4, because Sister Night goes out to investigate her car falling and sees Agent Blake, who's standing there because the car fell down, as we remember, after she finished her call to Dr. Manhattan. She was apparently using the blue phone or whatever outside of the Greenwood Genealogy Center while Sister Night was inside doing her family tree stuff. So the stuff that we see happening in episode 4 was actually things that were occurring at the same time as in episode 3. When Sister Night runs out, she runs into Agent Blake, and it just like runs together. Very, very nice continuity, wrapping up plot lines very tightly so we can really get a feeling for how these characters' lives are interacting and intertwining as we see these plot lines unfold. It's fully known at this point by Blake that Angela is Sister Night, which I appreciated. There wasn't any beating around the bush or trying to like keep up a ruse, which I feel would have wasted time and just would have insulted the intelligence of everybody. This back and forth of her trying to keep it a secret when like this white lady obviously knows. It also seems like this show is so tightly plotted that they need every second. So I appreciate the fact that they didn't waste any time. And Sister Night sort of just immediately pulls her face mask off to show who she is and to reveal that it was her car. She says that her car was stolen. This ends up setting up the action for today's episode, which is Blake trying to figure out who stole her car. As we remember, the car also had the old man in it, her grandfather, who said he had friends in high places before he disappeared, and now he's gone, but his pills are still in her car, which he hides from Blake. And it's just like we see these wheels start to spin and get spun in motion, and Sister Night is just trying to keep a handle on, again, still the fact that her chief died and trying to figure out what happened with that. Her grandfather showed up. Apparently he's the one that killed the chief, finding the KKK outfit in the chief's closet. Like I don't want to say they're starting to unravel around her, but she has a lot of things going on, a lot of balls up in the air. She has a lot of secrets at this point. She's hiding the KKK outfit. She's hiding a whole motherfucking old man. She's hiding her real identity. She's hiding something from her family member. She's hiding something from Blake. Like, she's hiding something from her coworkers. Like, she's hiding something from everybody. And it's also very intense considering how close she is with her family, which we see yet again play out in this episode. They really show that she loves them. She's very gentle with them. And it's just this, they're creating this real juxtaposition between Sister Night and Angela Abar. You can tell that her Sister Night persona is extremely angry. She's extremely hurt. She's extremely upset about the initial 7K attack on her and her family members. And now that's being compounded by the death of the chief and the discovery that the chief possibly was a racist and maybe even a member of 7 Cavalry, along with the discovering of this grandparent and these family members that she's never seen before, never met before, And it's just like, you have this, it's like all of her emotional trauma, I feel like, and all the things that she's like dealing with right now is being funneled into the Sister Night persona and just coming out in this like rage and this violence where we see her like beating the shit out of people. And at the same time, we see when she's home with her family, with her husband and the 2 adopted children, when she's Angela, she's very vulnerable. She's very open. We see her, having a conversation with her husband. She's hiding things about the chief from her husband, but for the most part, she reveals as much as she can to her family members. And you can even tell the fact that there's certain things that she can't tell them is just really eating her up inside. And it's just her reactions to everything that happens to her when she's both Sister Night as well as when she's in her Angela Abar, persona. To me, it's just extremely believable, and I feel like she's just a great character. Like, a lot of the stuff that she does and the ways that she reacts in this show, I feel like is the way that you'd really react in real life is the way that I would react. It's the way that most people would react. Like, there are several times where she's just like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? I really appreciate that. The writing on this show is really just fantastic. The world building is very good. Even in the sort of quick, I don't want to call them throwaway scenes, but even in the scenes that you can tell are just there to sort of move some plot points along, there are lines and images that are meant to tell us about the world. She sees the person, the mirror mask dude. Y'all told me his name in the last one, but I just keep thinking like mirror mask, so that's what I'm gonna call him. She sees the mirror mask dude in his dark room, which I thought was a very nice touch. I don't know, showing him like in an old-fashioned dark room. I'm sure there were people watching it that were like, what is this? Like, where is he? Where he's examining the raining squid. He's been taking pictures of them. This is direct continuity from the original Watchmen, where Ozymandias staged a squid attack. We also saw earlier in the season when Sister Night is in the car with her children and it starts raining squid. So just like continuing, like, again, not really forgetting or letting it fall by the wayside that we are in the original Watchmen universe and that things are happening based on what sort of happened in the original story with the original characters, and moving that forward. I really appreciate that they're doing that. She ends up giving Mirror Mask Dude the KKK outfit of the chief to hold. She asks him if he knew or had any idea that the chief was a racist. The dude says he doesn't know. They're just all trying to like figure out what's going on right now. And then after that, she goes to throw away her father's wheelchair, which he's broken down into different pieces. She's seen tossing it by another vigilante wearing head-to-toe spandex who slides into a grate. I don't know what that's about, but they call him Lube Man, which is fucking hilarious. I hope we see where that ends up going. I'm sure we will. I like that there were scenes dedicated to her breaking down the wheelchair, to her getting rid of the evidence, because I feel like in other shows, they might not have like explicitly showed that. It might have just been left up to us to assume that she got rid of it or something like that. But everyone in this show has been written so well and so smart, especially this fucking FBI agent, the second Silk Spectre, Laurie Blake. Like, this bitch is Agatha fucking Christie. Like, she is a detective, especially just over the course even of this one episode. Like, she prints Sister Night's car because Angela said, oh, the car was stolen. She's like, oh, the car's stolen? Okay. So she prints the car. Of course she finds the old man's prints. Of course she IDs the prints. She finds out that he was a cop in New York in the 40s and 50s. She's just super smart with connecting the dots and being really right on Angela's tail while she's trying to figure out what happened with the chief and also cover up her, I don't want to say involvement, but like the fact that she was there and that she knows who may possibly have did it, and that person is her relative, and she just has this white lady just sniffing around. She ends up tracing the equipment that was used to take the car away, and surprise, surprise, the equipment is owned by Lady Trieu, right, who we met earlier, and now we're meeting again along with her daughter, who's also great. And now we have a character that we were just introduced to enmeshed with our main character, Sister Night, as well as with our secondary character, Laurie Blake, and now they're all together. Again, just this very neat writing of taking threads that don't seem like they're connected and running these storylines into one another in a way that makes sense. And that's not easy. I really do commend these writers for what they're doing. I'm also really liking these three women characters. Everybody is pretending to be nice, but these ladies are just all mean as rattlesnakes, and we're all trying to figure out what everybody's angle is, right? Like, there's even a scene where Angela is talking to her husband, who says that he thinks that Laurie, is trying to help her, and she just feels like she's not sure. Like, she's not sure who she can trust. She's not sure what's going on. And I feel like that's also how we feel as the audience. We're being introduced to these characters, and we're trying to figure out what are their motivations and who are they and what do they want to do. Lady Trieu is even introduced as like somewhat of an antagonist. It's revealed that she has Sister Night's grandfather, but that we end up finding out that Sister Night's grandfather is working in tandem with her with whatever this clock machine is that they're building. And we also find out that she worships Ozymandias, which doesn't bode well for her not being the bad guy. And speaking of Ozymandias, we learn that he apparently grows these clones in his trapped parallel universe or wherever he is. He grows them in a pond. He throws back the defects, then he takes them home and ages them into a machine. He murders them when they're pissed off. He's using them to try and figure out a way off the planet or whatever the fuck that he's on by like launching them into the sky where they disappear after a certain point. And the whole time I'm watching his scenes, I'm just like, okay, what is going on? Like, where is he with this fucking cake? It seems like it's a Groundhog Day type thing. He's living the same day over and over. He has these same two companions, this man and this woman that he's grown in this pond. He's definitely trying to escape wherever he is. I don't know, again, if it's a prison, another planet, what, I'm not sure. But he says he's been there 4 years and he's determined to escape. So I cannot wait to figure out what is going on with that. And it's obviously clearly related to this Lady Trieu character who has like a statue, a gold statue of him in her terrarium. I can't think of what it's called, but she's living in like a artificial engineered environment that's like engineered to like appear to be like Vietnam, which is where she's from. She promised her mother she would never leave, so she had this like sandy cheeks SpongeBob contraption built with Vietnam inside it. Again, it's all very hard sci-fi. And yes, the episode closes by revealing that Angela's grandfather is indeed with Lady Trieu. He did say he had friends in high places. He's made some sort of deal with her. He definitely can walk. They're making a giant-ass clock that tells time. I don't know what that means, but I don't want to spoil this for myself, so I'm not digging into it. I'm going to wait and see how it unfolds over the course of the show. I have some ideas about it, but I'm going to wait and see. I don't want to, like, spoil it for myself. I feel like that's become like an epidemic in the way that we watch things nowadays because we have all this access to like online theories and like behind the scenes stuff, but I just want to like see what they end up doing, so I don't want to spoil that for myself, so I'm not digging into it. I'm just very curious about what they're doing and what will be occurring in 3 days' time when they apparently finish building this clock. Again, it's clearly some type of time machine, so this show is really holding my interest, especially considering how mysterious it is. That type of stuff can go left really quick with the audience just feeling bored or confused or out of place all the time, but I feel like the pacing is really good. It keeps us from feeling confused or getting bored with the, you know, mysteriousness of everything that's going on, and just the writing. Like, the writing is so tight, like the writing is so good that it's like a puzzle, right? It's like watching a puzzle and we're waiting to see how the pieces fit together at the end. The soundtrack is also great. I'm loving all the musical choices thus far and the way that the music is being used to set scenes and, you know, set the mood and set the tone. It's awesome. I'm really appreciating that. As I've said previously, the world building is great. It's just all very well done and very well put together. The shots, the cinematography is fantastic. And as I also said previously, they're conveying a lot of visual information about what's going on in the world that we're in. There's not an over-reliance on narration. There's not an over-reliance on exposition. Just very tight writing, really good plots, really great pacing, good use of music. We're about to be more than halfway through the show, and I really have no complaints. I'm really enjoying this show, so that's Watchmen, right? Ooh, Season 1, Episode 4. I really enjoyed it. So let me know what you guys think. I know this one's a little bit late, but we do the best we can. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.